three alcoholics talking on a microphone, and even though they are sober, they just can't stay on topic because they're always alcoholics.
Welcome to this podcast here.
Welcome.
It's a Saturday morning podcast. Now we're switching our strategy.
Right.
A strategy for us.
I could be listening to it at night,
better.
But we recorded it in the morning.
So I thought we'd start out with asking each one of us, how was your week? Anything happened during your week that you could tie to your program? You know,
okay,
that maybe you recognized.
My week went great, man. You know, woke up, meditated, went to work, got frustrated, and then went to a meeting and got celebrated. Apply some steps, traditions in my life, prayer, meditation, work with others. I'm going on a road trip tonight. I'm going to Georgia to a group
Closer.
celebrating their 39th anniversary, and the speaker's going to speak, eating speaker. If I play my cards right, I could actually hit a fish fry in White City, which is AA related, and at noon, and then from there I go eat at 6 in Georgia at a barbecue, and it's a meeting there. So, and then head home, call it a day.
Sounds like a good journey.
It's a journey. It's always a journey.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful.
It's adventurous. I go anywhere and do anything as long as
Especially,
my motives are correct.
And it's what you want to do. It's something that you actually want to do. The main thing that happened to me was I was looking into purchasing a firearm.
Really?
Yes.
Looking, you did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's how the week started out. So as I went through the process of getting it, the background check came into play. The 3-day waiting period, which I thought was interesting because that's what I would tie. That was a similarity to the program of, being patient. And, like if you're going to do anything, the sponsor always tells me, wait 24 hours, before you can go make a big decision. And the guy's telling me, I don't think it really makes a difference because the main reason for the 3-day, it's a cool down period is what they call it. Because if you go in there pissed off at someone to buy a gun, you got to wait 3 days. So you're not pissed off in 3 days. And the guy's like, I'd still be pissed off. So I don't see how it's going to make a difference, So I thought that was funny. But it just shows that, there's parts of the program out there that they creep in. It's like, before I make any big decisions, I usually do wait no matter what, 24 hours, just like the program taught at the beginning. That was totally hammered into me. Just don't do anything big. Wait. Even if it's my wife pisses me off, don't do anything. Just shut up.
Right.
Wait 24 hours and it's almost always better. It's kind of weird. But that definitely happened this week with me.
So you're licensed now?
You're not licensed. I mean, you can just buy a gun. It's your right to buy a gun. But to carry, you would have to be licensed. I'm not concealed carried or anything like that. I just got a gun. I don't even got bullets. I didn't even buy bullets. I just got a gun.
Short of freaking gun at people?
I'm not really too
that
concerned
being
about it. It's
that
first
there's
step.
a bunch of people that would necessitate throwing a gun at. Yeah.
Yeah.
You buy a gun for protection. You don't buy a gun and just put it on a shelf.
Well, buy a gun for whatever reason it is that you want to buy a gun. My purpose of buying the gun was with the storm and everything happening. When I was at the store getting looted, I would have felt better having the gun. So, my own personal thing. I understand you have a gun for protection. I don't know why the hell I got a gun, but I know I wanted one. Felt like I would like to have one after the whole disaster that hit us. So I finally went and got one. And it's awesome. It was very nice. Somebody's making us vibrate.
Feedback.
Whoa.
I don't know.
All right, Will, how about you? What's up, man? How was your week?
My week was good. Definitely had a couple of instances where I thought about my program. One, we're just now getting a roof put on our house, and they got about half of it done on this past Monday or Tuesday, and then on Wednesday I got a text from our contractor saying to give him a call. And so I called him, and he said, "Hey, we should be finishing up the house today, so we're going to need to get paid for the roof. Do you have a check that's still in your mortgage or whatever?" And I said, "No, we received a check. It's in my bank account. So whenever it's done, you just got to tell me how much it is, and I can give you that money." Well, the roof was never finished that day. So like nobody had ever been by the house or anything. So my first immediate thought was to, just be like, call him right up and be like, how are you gonna call me and ask me for money and tell me that the roof's not gonna be done and it's not done? Of course I'm gonna pay you when it's done, but you said it kind of sounds like you're jumping the gun there. But I didn't, for whatever reason, that I immediately got upset that he was asking for my money even though the job wasn't done. I just kind of chilled out, and I was like, I think I just sent him a text saying, I didn't see anybody come by today, but I'm sure as soon as the roof is done, we'll get paid. What is done looks great. I put in a little positive spin on it. Nice. And then I have bees. I have beehives. And after the hurricane, we lost some of those bees in the beehives, and so I've got some coming in next week. And so I've been preparing for that. And that's the air conditioner.
So turn it off, or are we good with that silence thing?
I don't know.
All right.
You can turn it off. But anyway, they're supposed to be coming in next week, and I've never introduced, they send them through the mail. I'm going to get a box that's going to be full of bees, and I've got to introduce them into a hive, which I've never done before. And my first immediate thought as I'm doing this is that I'm going to fail or not do this correctly, that I should probably just stop doing this altogether, and just get rid of all the hives, because this isn't going to work. So I had to step back and kind of breathe and reflect on why I'm doing this and kind of think about that for a little bit. And I think I'm going to be all right.
That's where I live, man. Anxiety.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Love anxiety.
You have your bees. I have everything.
Hey, did you go do that federal crime program?
You gotta get closer, yeah.
Wow, how close you want me to get to this effing thing?
I can't hear you.
Put it in your mouth.
Like a fist.
Why is my mic upside down? I don't think my mic's working, man.
It's working.
It's working.
You
just got to get into it.
I can't hear
Well,
nothing.
move that. Yeah, there you go.
Hey, is this better?
Yeah, oh yeah. There you
Oh,
go.
damn,
There
man.
you go.
You got that stupid thing in front of there. Hold on.
There you go. There you go.
You don't have to physically eat it.
Nah,
It's just an expression.
I'm just looking at your mics. My mic's upside down. All your mics are freaking straight up.
It's a condenser mic. It doesn't matter what direction.
Is that
it's
because of
facing.
my age? You discriminating? My mic's down?
Yeah, we always give older people upside down mics.
Upside
That's
down
exactly
mics,
how
yes.
that works.
Yep.
You young guys get your mics up?
That's right.
Our mics get up, yours can't get up.
Only you would find a way to turn that into a sexual innuendo.
Who said that, man?
I guess that's me.
Yeah, it's your perception. I'm just talking about my mic being upside down.
I got you.
All right, so are we ready for the topic?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's not really a topic. It's a passage from the big book here that I was reading this morning
book.
during the meeting, and I thought maybe we could get something out of this, but caught my eye. All right. So basically, this is a Native American woman. It's page 468 in the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, and she's just talking about her story. It's more towards the end of her story. It's an interesting story. I can relate to it because I am a Native American and kind of like this story.
How?
Yeah. How?
Wow.
Smoke 'em on peace pipe. So it says, I was shown more questions. The answers to these questions provided me with knowledge about my reactions to the conditions in my life. Every response to every resentment, real or imagined, had been sick and self-destructive. I was allowing others to control my sense of well-being and behavior. I came to understand that the behavior, opinions, and thoughts of others were none of my business. The only business I was to be concerned with was my own. I asked my higher power to remove from me everything that stood in the way of my usefulness to him and others, and to help me build a new life.
That goes back to the clock.
It really does. Yeah.
All right, so our listeners obviously weren't in the meeting today to hear the story about the clock. One of the guys in there was out staying at a friend's house. He accidentally bumped into the wall. The clock fell. It broke. And his first immediate thought was to, as a normal alcoholic would, how do I hide this, or how do I cover this up, or should I just skip town and never talk to this guy ever again? Which is a very common thing that we do as alcoholics, as we try to cover up our mistakes that we make.
It's like the small cover up, the medium cover up, and then the extreme cover up.
Right.
And he went all the way from like fixing it or making it look right to freaking leaving a friendship, never seeing him again. Which, I mean, I've played that through in my head a million times.
Mm-hmm. And so his kind of takeaway from that is that he stopped himself, or actually came to the meeting, talked to some people, and they were like, just breathe, relax. The worst thing that's going to happen is probably is that you've got to replace the clock. It's a material thing. It can be replaced. Just give a guy a call. So he called the guy, told him, and it turned out that the guy had kind of forgotten that the clock was even there in the house, and that it was not a big deal.
It was a big clock. I seen a picture of it.
Yeah.
1999 Walmart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but luckily insignificant, because you never know. It could have went the other way, where it's like,
Right.
my mom gave me that, or my brother who's dead.
But it's interesting
Which
how
is why we go that way.
right, and it's just interesting how we will blow things out of proportion and create these grandiose scenarios of gloom and doom in these situations, when really that's not the way. It's not the way that it is. Just to kind of go ahead and take responsibility for our actions and make our amends immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that thing of getting out of our own heads, where our brains are making things worse than they already are. Even anticipating something. Like, if I anticipate something that is about to happen, or an activity or some kind of event that's about to happen, I will ruin it. I will completely ruin it. And I know Pat in the rooms had told me a long time ago, like, go ahead and get that picture of what you think is going to happen, get it in your head, remember it, completely solidify it, and then make it into a game, so that when you actually get to that event, see how wrong you were.
Right.
See how how wrong you are.
You curse.
And,
I don't care. Hey, this side of the mic sounds better, man. What the hell is this? And I got to twist my head
Right.
and everything.
You're extremely
This side don't even work. But
it-
this side of the mic works.
And it's amazing how
turn it. You can not the entire mic, just the actual mic. Okay, yeah, that'll work too.
That's better.
There you go.
Figure this out.
All right.
Wow, I'm done, man. What the hell?
No, go.
I'm more worried about a friggin' mic.
Continue.
I don't know what I'm continuing with. It goes along with time, too.
Yeah, we've kind of gone.
Well, with the situation, it goes along with time also. You got to understand, the guy's newly sober. Everything's drama.
Well, you mean
Well, he said 5
time
years.
being sober?
You
Being
talking about
sober
that
over a
meeting?
situation, I mean, it gets easier as time goes on.
But 5 years is early, huh?
Nah, 5 years,
No?
5 years you get your marbles, 10 years you learn how to play with your marbles, and after 15 years you don't give a shit about the marbles no more. Usually it comes in increments. It's usually 30, 60, 90, 6 months, 9 months, then a year. He's coming up at 6 months.
Okay.
But then again, it ain't about him.
Well,
You
I
know.
mean, he nailed it. And I think that shows that the program's working right, because I know, like, in my 6 months, that's what it was. I was basically in the process of just shutting up. I mean, that's where I was. I just had to shut up, ask people what to do.
Yeah, but he don't shut up.
Yeah. Well, but he asked for help. He's asking people what to do.
That's change. So
Yeah.
And he did sit and listen. Sit and listen to all that. I think one of the cool things that was brought up was our emotional age. You know how when we start drinking, we don't age emotionally. You know, so like if I started drinking, I was like 13 or 14. Then throughout my drinking career, you know, that's kind of how I approach relationships. And Kenny's having a hard time seeing me through his microphone. It's all right. As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. That I have an emotional range of a 13 and 14-year-old until I stopped drinking. You know, I was in my 30s when I stopped drinking. I've got the emotional range of a 13, 14-year-old. Now that I've been in for a few years, you know, I think I'm probably somewhere around an 18-year-old. So I'm still like dealing with how I, you know, the emotions that I go through when I go through life. You know, I still get my feelings hurt. I still take things personally, not as much as I used to. You know, I still feel like sometimes people are accusing me when they're in fact just telling me how things are. It's not that they, you know, feel any differently about me. It's just this is how it is, and then how I choose to deal with that is how I choose to deal with that.
I agree 100%. I mean, if I started drinking at 13 and I'm 3 years sober, I think I'm like 16, you know, because I didn't develop something. My brain was being scrambled at age 13. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, is that where you're kind of going with that? Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Because you start becoming the man that you probably would have become had you not got, you know, completely dependent on a substance.
Right.
And many substances, because through the 20s and 30s, it wasn't just alcohol.
No.
The more I drank the alcohol, the more you could put anything in front of me, and I was probably gonna do it, man. I mean, I didn't. What I lose my inhibitions when I drink. I think we all do.
Mm-hmm.
So that definitely comes into play, because it is funny. Yeah, I guess a full-on alcoholic is acting like the age that they started drinking. It's like you have this 45-year-old man who's hammered, drunk all the time, acting like a 12-year-old, and it's like, oh, he probably started drinking when he was 12.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, I just look at him as being an asshole.
Well, I mean, that's the first thing, obviously, but if you want to go into more layers, definitely, and look at it a little deeper. But yeah, they're all, every drunk's an asshole almost. Every serious alcoholic is an asshole.
Yeah, but some people never drank, and you know, when they don't get their way, they stomp their feet. And what does little children do when they don't get their way? They stomp their feet. So I don't find it, blaming it on the alcohol as far as evolving, you know, mentally or friggin' emotionally. I remember being young, drinking at a very early age, but yet I was grown up because I grew up too damn fast, you know. It's just all the way how you make up in character is how you act and handle situations differently.
Well, I mean, I think the point, though, is that when you, instead of dealing with something, you know, naturally the way your emotions do, we would turn to something else to deal with it. You know, I would just go get hammered. That was how I dealt with things, and I would just put things off until there was no more putting it off. You know, usually it would always come back, you know, tenfold in some way. You know, if I didn't like the relationship I was in, I would just, every time I had to deal with the relationship, I was completely obliterated. Instead of actually processing those thoughts and emotions and discussing it with whoever I was in a relationship with, that would have been me emotionally growing. You know, but I didn't. I denied myself that by using something else.
I just left them.
It's not.
Well, they become resentments. Your problems that you drink away just become resentment, whether your resentments or whoever the hell else it is.
Even if you left them, that's still not necessarily dealing with it. You know,
it could just be gone. You think it's gone. Mm-hmm. It's not gone.
No, you take it on to the next relationship.
Yeah. That's right, because you didn't deal with it. So it's not necessarily blaming the alcohol. It's just we chose to deal with it a different way. It was still my choice. I chose not to use that experience to grow from. I pushed it off to the side. I went and drank, And so I didn't have that in my experiences anymore. So I can't grow if I don't do that. As long as I continue to just push these experiences off to the side, then as the air conditioner went off again. I love that.
Hopefully we'll be able to get it out. But we're close enough to the mics. I think it's okay.
Well, that's why now you're in a successful marriage.
Right, but even
because
still,
of those experiences and not handling it
that's
well.
right. Now that I'm actually dealing with these experiences, every time I have an experience with my wife, I work through it and I learn from it so that I can continue to build. Because
it's a very important experience for you also, because you got to take into the facts too, is your wife is ill. Your wife has certain medical conditions that now that you're able to stand up and be a man and stand behind her and understand that relationship a lot more. If you would have turned around and had a child with the woman, plus you took on having another child involved, brought in, not true of you and her, but of someone else, but you still take the kid as your own, you wouldn't be able to deal with all those situations.
Well, and I'd still say that there are times when I don't deal with it as well as I could have.
But you deal with it.
But I still deal with it. Today I deal with it so that I can learn from it.
So who's to say all those experiences and all those inexperiences that you had in all your past relationships, God didn't put those in your path for a reason to have you handle the biggest relationship of your life, which is this relationship now.
Well, I guess you could say that.
So that's a positive thing.
Maybe it took all of those things to show me that was not the way to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Success
was built on failure.
Right. But I think a lot of the times those failures were just me not doing anything. There's a difference between trying and failing and then just not doing anything at all.
No, you either do or you don't. To try is to fail.
I don't believe that.
Flipping Yoda over here.
Right.
That's Yoda.
I ain't flipping Yoda. Who?
That's Yoda. That's what Yoda says. You do or do not.
There is no try.
To try is fail.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's that from?
It's good.
Star
Wars.
Wars.
It's a compliment, buddy.
I don't know.
I'm sure it was around before.
Yoda's amazing.
Although that was a galaxy.
It is tricky because, the program says, just look back at your last drunk and that's, that'll make you not drink because that's the worst it could be. And then, you look back at everything else and you're supposed to say, oh, but that all made me who I am today, which is true, but doesn't make it good. There's good, there's bad, there's all kinds of shit in there. But, hey, like you said, we are what we are based on what we've done. So you can't get away from that.
You reap what you sow.
Thing I liked in here about providing me with knowledge about my reactions to the conditions in my life. So it's more about how we react to them. Like we all have our own personal reactions, and whether or not you have a positive reaction or a negative reaction,
it's still a reaction.
It's your reaction. Right. It's your reaction, and at least you're dealing with it. You're dealing with it. You're talking about it. That's what the program's kind of about, right? And talking about it, getting it off your chest.
That's like chemistry,
right?
Chemistry. You add one compound with another compound, and what do you get? You get a reaction.
Most of the time.
Sometimes it's a good reaction. Sometimes it's a bad reaction. Right. So it's just like the chemicals in our body. You put vitamins and protein and all the other good stuff in your body, chances are you have a good body. If you put all the junk and the shit in your body, chances are you're going to have a crap body. So you make up that body.
And it is kind of, chemistry, even like what you were saying when you get no reaction. Because you could be talking to somebody trying to help them and you're giving them these jewels that you think are great and it doesn't help them at all. It doesn't have anything to do with their story, but then they could turn around and talk to the next person and then, bam, they're totally relating to everything that person's saying. That's what's so good about going to the meetings and just listening. Paying attention.
It's the identification process, not the comparison process.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the reaction comes from. Because if you relate, you're going to react one way. If you don't relate, we've seen it. We've seen it where a meeting will go completely one direction, stay that direction, and if there's one person in there that doesn't relate, you know it. That person's going to let everybody in the room know it. This has nothing to do with my problem. And it's like, well, it's not all about you. And that's part of the learning process too.
We're going to see this guy's reaction right now coming up to the door. He read this sign, and yet he's still walking up to the door.
No, he's walking back.
Now he's walking
good.
back. What do you think his reaction's? Oh, shit. This place is closed.
I did have a thought of like, putting chemicals together. If you put citric acid and baking soda in solid form together, there's not really, there's a small, tiny reaction, but like you can't really notice it. It would happen very slowly over a long period of time. But as soon as you add water to the two of them, it really speeds up. It's a catalyst to speed up that reaction, and that's when you get all that fizz and the and whatnot.
So we're like baking soda and citric acid, and if you add alcohol to it,
right? So that's kind of where I was going. Like as soon as you add alcohol, it kind of like it explodes that that chemical reaction.
Stay hard and dry, people.
Hey, isn't baking soda and vinegar the substance that makes that volcano when you're a kid at school?
Right.
That
Which same, yeah, absolutely.
It's like a Boilermaker.
Science.
Science.
I love science.
That's a good song too, man.
All right, we just got nerdy on you.
What about that movie, Weird Science?
Weird Science.
What else you looking at?
Let's see here.
Lip smacking.
Well, she talks about, being sick and self-destructive, and that's the condition before, getting this, I guess you would call it an epiphany of realizing that the thoughts of others were none of my business. When I started to understand that it doesn't matter what others think, that it's freeing, it's like, okay, I can't control how that person is going to react. Bob says it a lot, if I'm upset or mad, it's because I'm upset or mad. It's not because of what something or somebody else did. It's how I'm reacting to it.
Right.
And sometimes I can control it, sometimes I can't. And when I can't, it's super scary. It's super scary because I can get angry. I can get really upset and mad, and I don't want to go there. But staying sober is definitely pipe that down a little bit. But yeah, I think that's an interesting concept of this person in this story is basically going through the whole idea of I think it's called getting out of your head. That's what Pat always says, right? It's not easy to do. How the hell do you get out of your head?
You do something for somebody else.
He raised the rent.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Helping other people.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
You raise the rent.
Raise the rent. Maybe they can't afford to stay in your head.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the old saying of I don't need you in my head because you don't pay rent, right? Kind of thing.
Well,
that's it, right? I've heard that. I like that. I used to say that a lot, like my first year. You're not paying rent in my head. Get out of here.
They ain't renting the space.
It works. I mean, it's a little tool you pull out of your pocket, and hopefully it works.
I do know that when I was drinking, like whether my situation at any given moment was good or bad, I was very good at using what I thought other people's perceptions of me to self-destruct. Like usually because I didn't like my behaviors and because of that, I knew that it was only a matter of time before I was going to get found out. Like if I was in a relationship or if I got a good job, whatever, it was only going to be a matter of time before they figured out who I really was and what was going on. And then I would usually do things that would go ahead and end that relationship. I would actually sabotage it and self-destruct.
Oh yeah.
Purely based on my own thoughts. Like those people had no clue what was going on in my head. So like it was just this entire like battle that I had set up, fought, and lost all on my own, like without the knowledge of anybody else, which is really weird. Like that I would do that, and I think a lot of alcoholics do that as well.
And if you put into practice the idea that 99% of the time you're wrong,
right?
Yeah, we completely blew up any kind of situations that probably could have turned out really good,
right?
just by overthinking stuff and then sabotaging the hell out of it. Just like when I know when I was drinking a lot, I would tell people, I would make commitments and I would never follow through on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after I got in the program, quit drinking, I noticed that wasn't happening anymore. And what was happening, because I did have a bunch of drunk friends, was I would keep the commitment and then they wouldn't.
Or if you didn't think you could keep the commitment, you don't make the commitment.
Yeah, if I didn't
that was
think I
another
could make
thing
it,
too.
then I wouldn't, It's interesting.
Paranoia. You ever get like when you watch a football game and they get in a huddle and the quarterback stands up and looks over to the side? You ever get that feeling when he's looking at you and talking about you?
I don't think I've ever gotten to that extreme.
Oh, wait. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. That's paranoia.
That's awesome.
I mean, it is paranoia. And, when it comes to marijuana, like I couldn't smoke marijuana just straight up. I would have to be drunk because it would make me so paranoid, and I don't like being paranoid. I don't like being anxious. But once I got halfway through a bottle,
You didn't care.
you pass me a joint.
Inhibitions.
Become more talkative.
Inhibitions.
Yeah, definitely. Some people like to be paranoid and aware. It makes them feel alive. It's that ancient, tapping into that ancient caveman when you needed to be anxious. You had to be paranoid. Shit was trying to eat you.
Shit, where I grew up, you had to be paranoid.
I bet.
Walking down the street.
Probably a good thing.
Holy
New
crap.
York, New York, you need to be high walking around New York.
Step out the door.
Or drunk. Because, I imagine drunk emboldens you. It emboldened being drinking in my, junior high and high school. It emboldened me to be more confident.
Yeah, not everybody that gets drunk, though, acts like an ass. I just do.
Yeah,
me
too. Well, I don't know about an ass, but
an ass.
yeah.
Well, sometimes I'm okay and sometimes I'm bad,
Just very
depending on the
honest.
situation,
Yeah, so were you a mean drunk?
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I was angry at myself. I really wasn't angry at nobody else. I was angry that what the hell you keep doing this to yourself for? You
Yeah,
know
definitely that.
what it's going to be,
Yeah.
but yet you keep doing it. That's insanity.
Right.
Doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah.
I'm finding a hard time finding a comfortable spot on this mic.
Well, you're not supposed to sit on it.
I'm not
Or
sitting
lay
on
your
the
head on
friggin'
it. I
mic,
wouldn't do
man.
that.
Dude,
Talking out your race.
I don't turn that way. The program will change. Not that much.
So
Not that much
I
change.
think
I'm an extremist, but not that freaking damn extreme.
to wrap this up, I think a good the takeaway from this was the one, like, get out of your own head, do something for somebody else without any expectation.
And prove it to yourself. That was really what I liked, is when somebody told me to prove it to myself.
Right.
Like if there's somebody that you're going to meet for the first time, you've never met the person.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain will put a picture in your head
Yep.
of what that person is, just from what somebody's described. Hey, this guy, you got to meet him, and put it in your head. You can test this out, and then when you actually meet the person, see how wrong you were.
Right.
It's insane. And if you're right, hey, try it again. You're probably going to be right 1 time out of 10.
I usually associate names with people. Certain names, they got certain personalities.
Okay, see, right there. Boom.
My wife
Boom.
Right
does
off
that.
the bat, man.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, man, it's on the money.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I don't. That's my wife does that. I can't stand it. Like, if a Todd has done something bad to you, then any person that you come across who's named Todd,
gonna do something bad.
It's got to do something bad to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's me. If I do that, that's me projecting a prejudice on them right off
From
the bat.
somebody
So
else's prejudice.
I could probably find something bad about them.
Yeah.
If I really want to find something bad, I'll find it. And so
I got that bad problem because there's a lot of Davids out there, and there's a lot of bad Davids.
Bad David.
there's a lot of good Davids out there too.
I think there are probably more good than
You
bad.
just don't ever hear about the good Davids
don't.
because nobody
You don't.
wants to hear
When you
about the
think
good
of,
stuff. They just want to hear about the bad
what's
stuff.
a good stripper name?
Huh?
What's a good stripper name?
Like Candy.
Candy, yeah. I mean, if you, hey, I want you to come over and meet my friend Candy.
Right.
Like, first thing comes to mind,
Stripper.
stripper.
Yeah, okay.
She's gonna be hot.
I actually know a few Candies that are not strippers, and they're actually very nice people.
Are they hot though?
They're good
Oh, you
looking.
can't really say. Maybe
Right.
I think we
these
gotta
are-
end
these are
here.
People. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up.
We're gonna wrap this up.
We gotta end here, man.
How do we always end up on?
You guys are married. I'm not, so it don't
Right.
make a difference.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right, bye.
On a microphone.